Where do we stand in the industry? We stand at a point where, over in this hall here, we've got 6-hour queues for Watch Dogs, and you've got queues for Battlefield, and we could let this games industry just be all about first-person shooters for sure. That's fine, and we could just say that's what the games industry is, but I cannot accept that. I cannot accept that beloved genres like God games and like RTSs are going to wither and die. I cannot accept that. I think we have to, my job now is to take every tiny good thing that I've done and bring them together into one game that redefines what you think of as an RTS and a God game. That's my job. That uses some of the technology that we're talking about. We talk about DRM and always online. Why? Why do we get upset about that? Because no games are really showing off what an amazing, incredible world we can give gamers if we really connect them together. So I want to do all that all that stuff in one game, and that one game is this, and that's why I left Microsoft. That's why I founded the company. That's why, rather than going to a publisher, I could have gone to a publisher, but I thought the only way I can make a brilliant game is involving people in that game. And that's why we went to Kickstarter and why we've used our Kickstarter pledges to refine what this game is. So that's the stakes here. So the stakes are very high. So I'm going to start off explaining what this game is by explaining first of all, the world, and first of all, what your motivation is as a person who plays this. This world that we've got here is truly vast. It is a world that is procedurally generated and handcrafted in one, and it's about the size of Jupiter. The land mass of this is the size of Jupiter, and the entire world is driven by a simulation that has taken 20 years to refine. Every game that I've ever made has had simulation into it, and I've learnt the mistakes of simulation, and I've learnt the things that work and the things that don't work. And the state of the art of that simulation comes together in this game. So I can say these insane things. I say them as a designer. Sometimes you believe it, sometimes you don't believe it. But when I founded this and I said to the coders, I want every grain of sand and every drip of water in this game to be under simulation. So everything that you do will make a slight difference in the world.
That is actually what SimCity told us too, but in the end it didn't.
So yes, the bastards. I believe that as well. I mean, some of it is very subtle stuff. For example, there are let's just talk through this screen now. We've got this massive open world and we've got this simulation. Let's talk about this screen. Because here we've got two scales. At the moment, this GUI will change as the game goes on. As you play the game, you'll notice that these bars will change. But at the moment, I want you as a player to worry about two things. One is the population of your people. Currently I've got 668 people. The more people I have, the more my population can spread. And this scale here, this is the amount of belief that I have. These little people that live in these houses, the more they believe in me, the more belief that I get, and that belief powers these things. These are your God powers. Some of these things are very simple things like sculpting the land. Some of them are spectacular things like beautify or like earthquake or meteor strike. And you need the belief. So at the moment, these are your two worries. You want as many people as you can get, because when this bar gets to the end, you'll get a new feature in the game. Every time that bar gets to the end, you'll get a new feature. And to power that feature, you need that belief. So,
but what kind of features are we talking now?
So we're talking about some features which help your people advance. Some features are God powers that you will use in multiplayer and story mode, but you're free to use in your home, this thing called Homeworld. and some features are about enhancing the world itself. So there are different God powers. I want you all the time to feel godly. I want you to feel powerful. I want to give you the temptation to use your God powers on your people if they've dissatisfied you, as our God does. You know, he sends us down earthquakes and volcanoes all the time. And, you know, I want you to feel the same thing. The game starts in the most simple way. You start with two people, just two little people. They are your Adam and your Eve. And from that two people, you are going to take they're going to breed and produce more people, and they're going to start advancing. And actually, you are taking your people from the primitive times, from the primitive age, through the Bronze Age, the Iron Age, the Philosophical Age, Imperial Age, all the way up to the Space Age. Eventually, they'll be flying in planes and they'll be making rockets. As you go through each one of these games, these ages, this GUI will change. It will change so that you don't no longer worry about people anymore, you worry about technology. You don't worry about people anymore, you worry about industry. And that way, I can give you a game which feels like it's evolving, just like you as a player are evolving. The other thing about this game, and this sounds insane, there isn't a single moment where we tell you how to play. Part of the joy of this game is discovering how to play.
So I could kill one of the two guys, which I start with, and end the game exactly in the first minute.
Cheat for you is if you ever go down below two people, you get two more people. That's the only cheat in the game. Otherwise, you're free to do whatever you like. This is an open world game. It is completely, your world is totally unbelievably unique to you, your followers, their beliefs, their commandments, their religion is down and unique to you, and we'll explain all that. All this stuff sounds unbelievable, but it's all working, and you can play it on the 13th of September on Early Access on Steam. So let's start at the very basic, your most simple God power. This is the God power that you start off being a novice at, and it is something you can master. You can become a master sculptor. So I have got this one God power here, which enables me, this landscape, as I said, is the size of Jupiter, and it is completely deformable. So I can just pull this land and push this land, and that way I can start creating and changing the landscape. Now the way I do that is just by pulling the mouse. Later on, as my God powers improve, as this bar moves up, so this God power will upgrade, so I can do double clicking to do fast, smart sculpting, or double right-hand clicking. As my God power improves again and my belief improves, I can do what's called cliff sculpting, so I can click on this cliff and just pull out this entire cliff. Incidentally, as I'm doing this stuff, I'm changing the tidal patterns. This is the current of the water. That current of the water, if I change it enough, will start changing the wind direction, which will change the weather in your world. That is important in things like forest fires, because the wind direction will blow the fire towards you or blow it away. When I say simulation, I mean simulation. All the water in the world is completely dynamic. So, for example, if I wanted to, I could just move this terrain here, and I could start creating a lake, or I could create a waterfall. If I push this water near to these people here, your little people need water, so you're getting the flow of the water right. You're literally sculpting the landscape. And that is going to be a very important skill. That basic skill is going to be very important in multiplayer as well. So, that's the first thing. You're free to sculpt wherever you've got influence. If you notice, at the moment, my land is bounded by here. I can do anything I like here, but outside this, I can do nothing at all. As I increase my population at this stage of the game, so my influence goes out. So let's just show you how, for the very basic thing of spreading people out. What I can do is, as I pull the landscape, you'll notice that these little plots start appearing. Now these plots are where your followers will build things. So for example, if I right-hand click on this plot here, they will build a cottage here. And that cottage will hold 5 people. Okay, I'll get one of my little people out. This is little people. You can tell when a house is full, when there's primitive age, it's all about spreading people. When you reach the Bronze Age, it's more about, a little bit more about industry, about making things. When you reach the Imperial Age, it's about factories and it's about weapons and arms. But everything's primitive at the moment. So let's go and have a look at another part of my world, this same world. Over here, I've got a settlement that I've been working on for some time, and you can see I've been using that one sculpt mechanic. I've managed to spread my people out. So now I need to collect my belief. So I can just click on here. This is incidentally playing Mozart's second concerto, which as I click, it plays the concerto. That lasts 45 minutes, so there's a hell of a lot of clicking. Now, what do you think of that, collecting that stuff like that?
It seems to be, I don't know, it remembers, it has some resemblance with the Curiosity app.
It does, but are you not going to find that a bit tedious? Just going around collecting your belief like this? This is where I think good design comes in. It's just at the point where you're thinking, why am I doing this? Why am I collecting that belief?
I'm actually asking myself why you're clicking this right now.
Because
of music.
And this is where this makes Godus so difficult to explain. This homeworld that you're creating, that you're making, I want you to relax. I want you to do, in the moments in your life where you're busy and you just think, I just want to escape this world. That is not about making you excited, it's about making you relaxed. And that's what we found in Curiosity. People love tapping, not because they wanted a game, they just wanted to relax. And that's why making sculpting so enjoyable to do. I just cannot help looking at this and thinking, right, I'll just clear this area here, and I'll just sculpt that hole away, and I'll just line this up here, and I can't help relaxing. But all of that has a consequence. But there comes a point where that relaxation, you want shortcuts. So let's show you one shortcut. One of the God powers that you earn is the ability to inspire your people to come together in a town. Now this is a primitive town. This one day will be a city. As you go through the Bronze Age and the Iron Age, so this will start improving and it'll start getting bigger and it'll become a metropolis, and there'll be waste problems and all sorts of problems. Here, I don't have to click on all these separate houses. I can just click in one place and collect all that belief. And that is what this game takes you, the player, on a journey with your people, with giving you more and more abilities and more God powers, making you feel more powerful as gods. Now, this is the way the religions worked. If you read the Old Testament, God didn't start off as, he created the universe, which was a pretty good trick. But, he started off turning Job to a pillar of salt. And that progression is what I want to give you. So you're always changing a home world and you're always improving it.
But is relaxation really what people are looking for? When I look back on the fair, people are standing in line to see action shooters and stuff like that. Is relaxation really what they want?
I think this is the point, is who are we making these games for? Are we just making them the people that want adrenaline all the time, or are we making them, whether we like it or not, this device here is creating about 10,000 new gamers a day. 10,000 new gamers are coming in and they're playing shit. They're playing crap games where we're just like, I love playing Candy Crush Saga, and at the moment I'm playing Plants vs. Zombies. But they're just rubbish games. They're games that we invented 25 years ago. You know, we invented, Space Invaders 30 years ago, and that's what they're playing at the moment. They should be playing this stuff.
But isn't this actually Populous meets Black and White meets Age of Empires meets, I don't know, The Simpsons Tap Out?
Yeah. Those separate parts combined together make something that is unique and different. And let me just show you how I really answer that question. Because all this relaxation is fine, but sometimes I need that adrenaline hit. And there's 2 adrenaline hits I'm going to give you. The first is multiplayer. At any time, I can challenge any one of my friends or any other person in another religion to a multiplayer match. But here's the thing about multiplayer, man. If it's just all about me beating you, and that's the only thing that happens in multiplayer, I'm going to get bored pretty quickly.
By the way, how do gods compete?
The gods compete by bringing their followers, deciding whether their followers should fight or whether we should fight using our god powers against each other. And the battle I'm going to show you both of those things. But really, it's the motivation I want to get to first. Why do I want to win? Let's ask ourselves that fundamental question. Why do I want to win a multiplayer match? It has to be more than just the badge of I won against you. And that's where we can do something brilliant. First, to start, this home world is always it's always working. It's always there. It's always on. It's always online. So, if I change something in the world and leave the game and come back, then I would have seen that that change different. So remember that. And home world is persistent. Now let's give you an example. In my world, in my home world, all the little people are like this. They're dressed in blue. My little people are very good at building, are quite good at building. In your world, all your people are like this. And they're very good at breeding. If I play a multiplayer game of you, I can win one of your followers, and this is where that follower came from, for my home world. I can breed with that follower. He will change the population of my home world. You have unique features in your home world which I can win from you in multiplayer, and I've got unique features in my home world which you can win from me. Some of those are followers, some of those are god powers, some of those are resources. And that is the reason why I want to win multiplayer. I can win new stuff for my home world, new features for my home world, new advances for my home world. So let's go and have a look at this multiplayer game. There's 2 types of multiplayer battles. There's AI battles, which is a story-driven battle, and then there's human versus human. We support multiples of 8, so you can have 4 gods versus 4 gods, or 2 gods versus 6 gods.
Did he die?
He did die, unfortunately, yes.
He was too old?
He was, well, if you leave them, the only thing about those red-headed followers, they're a little bit more tender. They're not so robust as my followers, but they're very good breeders.
Yeah, and his soul went up to heaven.
His soul went up to heaven, and I got a little belief for him dying. If you want to, you can sacrifice your people. I'll just show you this now, just quickly, just because I quite enjoy doing it. I can use my god power, finger of God, and then I can just squish this person. I can throw him around. We've got a little bug with it, and I will get belief from him dying, and everybody around him will believe in me more because this huge fingers come down and stab the ground. You have to believe in God if you
A
saw
feature
that.
again that really looks and feels like black and white.
Yeah. Why not take all the things that worked in my previous games and throw away the things that didn't work? Let's have a look at the multiplayer battle, because all of this is very relaxing. It's all about growing your population, but you need excitement. So at any time you can go into the story mode. At this particular point, if I win this battle, I'm going to win this new follower, plus I'm going to win some extra things for my homeworld. You always win new stuff for your homeworld. So let's go in. There is a sound bug in here, by the way, so I apologize for that. I can decide when I play multiplayer how many of my followers from here I'm going to take out of it. So I can, at the moment I've got 666, 668 because there's been someone born, 69 because there's another person born. I can take as many people as I like, but remember that is going to change your world. There's going to be, if you lose, there's going to be a lot of grieving wives and a lot of grieving children. So here we go. We've just taken, I've just taken all those people. That's a bit unfortunate. And this is how the multiplayer battles work. So I'm going to take you through some god powers now. Everything happens much, much faster in multiplayer. So these houses are built much, much faster. I can use a god power called place totem. And what that says to my little people, anybody not doing something, come here. This is highly context sensitive, so if I place this on a house, they'll reinforce the house. If I place it on a building plot, they'll build that building plot. But at the moment, I'm just going to put it up here and attack this house here. So I'll move this totem up. Oh, someone's already attacked it. So. And just move them all up here. We support, a vast army. At the moment, there is no feeling of army, there's no feeling of ranks, because they're all primitives and they're just fighting hand to hand.
But this is changing throughout the game.
It changes throughout the game. If you're in the Bronze Age, they invent swords, and so they will be in swords. If you're in the Imperial Age, they'll form into ranks, and it'll be much more of a structured battle, one battle against another battle. This is the sound bug.
So there will be vehicles and stuff like that later on?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Like
There'll be vehicles, there'll be tanks, there'll be planes. All of that that's the journey we're taking you on. You're going from Adam and Eve up to the space age. And we take you through that entire journey with this one game, where every time you play a multiplayer game, you win something which advances your people a little bit further on.
And how long does it take you to get from...
That is going to take you many, many, many weeks. And I love that. I love the fact that, for me, playing a game, if I really love a game, I don't want it to end. And this is one of the joys of developing. We at 22 Cans are continuing to develop Godus for the next 1-2 years, and improving it all the time. And I need to tell you about
what's happening after the weeks and after reach the space age. Will there be more planets like in Spore or something like that?
Well, we're thinking about that. I'll leap forward to this, but we should let me show off about these god powers first, and then we'll talk about what happens then, because then it's going to get very interesting. So I've got my little army up here. They're ready to attack. Normally there would be an area of influence, so normally I couldn't do everything everywhere. So, but at the moment I've got. At the moment I've got this force of primitive people here. I need to get them down here, but they can't get down these slopes, so I've got to use my sculpting powers just to do something called stepping. And this is where you being an expert sculptor really helps. So if I just pull this land out here, I use double clicking for this. I find that the best way of doing this. Some people in the office are master sculptors. You can become a master sculptor, and that means you can do up to 20 sculpts in 10 seconds. So you can move huge. but I'm not a master sculptor, so I'm just stepping out here and producing these steps. I think that'll be more or less ready for them to go now, and I'll move them down here somewhere safe. Now, although I've got a big force of people, I'm going to use my God powers to just help those people out. So I will just use Untitled Cheat. I'm just going to use a meteor strike to just help them out. All of our God powers are a little bit skill-based, so where I start the strike to where I finish depends on the velocity of that meteor strike and the direction. So if I just swipe across the screen like this, it'll cause a meteor strike. I can keep on doing those meteor strikes, eating into the side of the mountain. As you know, the whole of this terrain is completely deformable. Now I can send my little people in. I can either direct them, or I can say, okay, you just do whatever's sensible now. You know, just mop up for me, and I can just sit back and watch it, or I can use that totem power to take it over. And the little people have chosen to take on there. And now I've almost won the landscape. I've got, I think there's just some, the forest fire is spreading. Maybe, it's ignited a wolf. I'll just finish them off. Yeah.
Swiping and clicking and tapping, that could all work perfectly fine on an iPad or on tablet device. Are you planning on bringing it to tablets?
So everything that you've seen so far is 100% compatible on iOS and Android. You can have your home world on PC, and you can sculpt. You can take your home world with you on your iPad. You can play multiplayer games on an iPad. Personally, I play multiplayer games on the PC. I just prefer it. I use my iPad to sculpt while I'm on the way to work. And that it even works if you sculpt on here like this. You can see the sculpts on here, and it's completely compatible. That's what I mean by technology. To me, it's not about a platform anymore. It's about, I don't want to be constrained to one platform. I want a game to go with me. And all of this has been designed to work on with touch as delightfully as it works with the mouse.
But talking about platforms, you are just playing it on a MacBook. Are you planning on delivering it to MacBook and Linux too?
So first of all, we're doing MacBook and PC on the 13th of September. Then the month after, we'll probably do iOS. It's a little bit hazy whether it's October or November. Then we'll be doing Android. Then in the new year, we'll be doing Linux. And then we'll be, we're going to release probably a format every 2 to 3 months. There's so many formats now, it's just ridiculous. I just was, talking to Steam about some of the formats they were considering, and, it's just crazy, man. You could, if you got one game, it could take you 2 years to put it on all platforms. The only thing I slightly worry about controllers, is just that God games on controllers feel a bit clumsy. I'm not saying no, we won't do it. It's rather like Minecraft is. You can play Minecraft on a controller, but I think it's better on mouse.
Could you think of it playing with Kinect or the new Steam? No, it's not. What's it called? The glass.
The smart glass.
Smart glass, right?
Yeah. Obviously, I've done my share of Kinect titles. And,
I remember, yeah.
Yeah. The only thing I'd love to have Kinect for this sort of stuff, for throwing stuff, but doing sculpting like this would just, you'd end up with massive arms, and overdeveloped shoulders. So I worry about it. I'm not saying no, I'm just saying that's not something we'll focus on. So I won that battle, and I won these cards, everything that is in the form of cards. So I won family, so my birth rate will increase in my home world. I need to complete that card, I need some other resources, and I won the felt. All of these are more or less historically accurate, by the way.
We've run over a little bit.
Have we?
Christian.
Right. Okay.
I just add two
Yeah.
more questions. If
Well,
that's
let me
okay.
just finish one
Yeah,
feature.
sure.
I wanted to answer one question. What happens when? One of the cool things about the game... Oh, I lost my pen again. Oh, thank you. The cool things about the game, the reason we're the size of Jupiter is this. What you will realise after a while, that my homeworld is here. And it starts off in primitive times. It'll end up in the space age. Your homeworld is here, 100 miles away. Eventually, our two homeworlds are going to link up. What is going to happen then? Are you going to go to war against each other? Are you going to have a pact and be peaceful because there's people all around you?
It's sure going to be a long time scrolling around.
Well, there are shortcuts like everything else. If you notice this, why do we make GUIs that are fixed? This GUI, this bar changes constantly. As you go, every age you go up, the thing that you have to care about changes. And the same is with the GUI. When you're going out into this region here, your GUI will change. What the mouse does will change. As you start to deal with cities rather than people, the GUI will change. So that is a tenth of what Godus is. I haven't even talked about the fact that in the land there is hidden many, many objects. There's this stuff. What is this stuff here? This is inspired by Dungeon Keeper. You can mine this stuff out. There is this, you can use your sculpting powers to excavate things. There's this massive thing under here. What is all that about? There's millions of mysteries built into the landscape.
And how is this game now something that you couldn't have done with a publisher? Why did you actually leave Microsoft, not do it?
Well, I mean,
them?
I think understandably, and I love doing Fable, you know, and I really loved doing Fable, and it was, you know, a fantastic time. And Fable was very successful, and it sold, you know, 10, 11 million units, and obviously when you're working on something successful, people want to get you to carry on working on something successful. And I could have gone to Microsoft, I'm sure, and said, hey, let's do a big black cube that you can tap on. I think they would probably say, okay, Peter, just do another Fable and then we'll talk about the big black cube, and you can understand
and
that.
Talking about the big cube, how is the winner of Curiosity coming into Godus?
Okay, it's another huge thing to talk about. This is another thing about multiplayer. It's all about motivation. Now, the winner of Curiosity is the god of all gods, and he is able to change aspects of everyone's game who's playing Godus. And there's 3 ways that he can change the game. He can make trivial changes, he can make moral decisions, and he can make simple gameplay changes. Every week he has a panel, only once a week he can do this. He can do things like, for example, this is a trivial change he can make. He can press a button and make the weather in everyone's world like the weather outside his window. We had this feature in black and white, but him being in control of that. He can make moral decisions. For example, we'll ask him a question, should the followers work 24 hours a day? He can choose, yes, work them 24 hours a day, they work to about. No, they should have between 3 o'clock in the morning and 6 o'clock in the morning as time off, or that he could choose the unpopular choice was that they only work 12 hours a day. Those are the moral decisions. Some of those moral decisions are going to be very interesting. We may ask him one week, should we introduce contraception into the world? Should the little people be allowed to use contraception, which will lower your birth rate but increase their happiness? And the last is gameplay changes. And those are things like, how much belief should you get for tapping on a rock or tapping on a tree? So they're very controlled changes. He gets to make those changes, plus he gets a significant royalty from every sale and every revenue source from Godus. And he has that for 6 months. At the end of the 6 months, he gets challenged by people to multiplayer games If he loses the multiplayer game, he is no longer God of Gods. That is passed to someone new. And they then get the royalties and they then make the decisions.
And do you know the guy yet?
Oh, well, yes, he's been down, he's met
Yeah.
him. He's already received a lot of tributes from people. They've sent him, they've sent him flowers, they've sent him chocolates, they've sent him milkshakes, they've sent him a huge pile of jelly snakes.
So he's probably not an asshole who's destroying the game for all of us.
Well, we were never given the power to do that. We were given the power to make slight adjustments to the game. He has to be careful because if he becomes unpopular, then when he plays that multiplayer game, he's not going to be as powerful.
Now, you making all those God games, do you actually believe in God? And would you like him to play Godus? Or black and white, or populous?
So I absolutely 100% believe in there is a force which has controlled our world, and that force may be just in our imaginations or it may be something real, but you cannot deny that religion and the belief in something has influenced the way that mankind has developed. That is empirically true. You can look through history and say, this war happened because of this belief. So in one sense, absolutely you can say, yes, there is that belief in God. Whether he's a big guy on a cloud with a nice fluffy beard, I'm not so sure about.
Okay, cool.
And of course he should play Gods. Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, brilliant.